friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to play the TBR game for May. I don't know that I like how it feels that the year is going this fast already. Like, we're closing in on a halfway point, and that's a little terrifying. However, I am very excited to set up this TBR for May. April was a little bit of an abysmal reading month for me. I did read a book that I absolutely loved. However, I just didn't read as much, which is completely fine. But I did have a big stack of books that I wasn't able to get to, which is kind of a bummer. But I'm giving myself a lot of grace because I just didn't have the time or the mental, emotional energy to read as much in April. And now we're heading into May, which is my birthday month. And I'm so excited because my birthday month is going to be filled with books that I am so excited to read. I'm giving myself full permission right now to just go crazy on these shelves and pick whatever sounds awesome with the help of my TBR game. So if this is your first time tuning in to one of my TBR games, the basic gist is I have a big deck of cards that I made with characters on them from a bunch of my favorite stories, and each character has an effect so that when I draw the card, it will tell me a certain type of book to draw from a jar or pick off of my shelves. If you want a longer explanation of how the game works, go up here and watch my first ever version of this game where I explain in great detail how it works. But for today, we're just gonna get going because I'm excited and I can't wait to see what ends up being on my TBR for May. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is my larger deck of cards, as you guys can see here. I'm going to shuffle this a little bit. These are the location cards. And this is kind of an overall effect on the entire TBR. Sometimes it'll ask me to add a book of a certain genre when I'm finished with the rest of my TBR picks, or I have to read a certain amount of books of a certain color. So yeah, it's really kind of a Russian roulette. I have no idea what I'm gonna get here. We're just gonna go right for this one. Training Yard. At the end of the round, one of your TBR reads must feature a young protagonist, and this is the Black Veil location, which is kind of fitting and lovely for May because Black Veil is a location from my own book, The Bloodstones, which, by the way, you can check out the link down in the description box below, toriTekken.com, to check out all of my fantasy books if you're interested in giving those a read. And since we're here, and I might as well just give a brief shameless shout out, I have a new novella that literally just came out last week in the series called The Fate of Thieves. And you can get this and The Bloodstones, which is book 1, signed on my website. So if you haven't read the series yet, go check that out. Anyways, Black Veil is our location card. So at the end of picking all of my other TBR reads, I have to include a book that features a young protagonist, which I feel like is pretty broad, especially in fantasy. So I think that that will be a easily achievable goal. We're gonna dip into the big deck of character cards, and we're gonna see what we get. All right, first one is Fiddler from the Bridge Burners from Malazan Book of the Fallen, and he wants me to draw a kitchen sink read. This always, I'm just throwing cards all over the place, this always gives me a little bit of a heart palpitation, I'm not gonna lie, because in this jar, which I still have to go through at some point and get completely up to date, kitchen sink is everything on my shelves that is not science fiction and fantasy. Everything. So this could literally be who knows what. All right, come on, give me something good. It's my birthday. We have Murder on the Orient Express, an Agatha Christie novel. Okay, hold on, let me go grab that. All right, I have this tiny little mass market paperback, Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. I don't think that this is going to take me very long to read. The only book I've read of hers so far is And Then There Were None, which I enjoyed for the most part. But yeah, we're gonna see if this one is famous for good reason. I still am kind of testing the waters when it comes to murder, mystery, thriller, and all of that kind of stuff, both classic and modern. And I'm just kind of having fun with it, taste testing, trying different things. I don't really have a solid opinion or really solidified likes and dislikes in the genre yet. I have some. But yeah, let's try another Agatha Christie and throw her on the TBR. All right, draw number 2 is going to be Leave, one of the characters from my book, The Bloodstones. His effect is read a book you bought because of someone else. His secondary effect is kind of nice. You may replace one drawn character with a Bruhai character from the deck, except for Sindri, which is fine because Sindri we already drew multiple games ago. Well, that is amazing. So I have to read a book that I bought because of someone else, which honestly, as a booktuber, is not going to be that hard to find because I would say a third of my shelves are probably books that I bought because somebody else really liked them. If not, probably, let's be real, probably more than half of them. So let me look and I'll get back to you. Well, guys, this ended up being a pretty easy pick, actually, because I need to start reading The Dragon's Path, which is book 1 in Daniel Abraham's Dagger and Coin series. This is a 5-book epic fantasy series written by the same author who did The Long Price Quartet, which, as you guys know, is one of my favorite series of all time. And I have been so excited to start this series, you guys, this year. And I think there's a group of us reading it, potentially led by Alan from Library of Alexandria, who I think has read it before, and we were planning on starting in May. So I definitely bought this entire series because of other people on BookTube who said that I should definitely check it out. So we're gonna pick that one, which is awesome because that was a book that I wanted to read for sure. And the other thing about this is Leave's secondary effect will allow me to switch out one of the character cards and choose a new book potentially if I want to do that at the end of my TBR round. So let's go for the next card. Card number 3. I think we're, should we do 5 or should we do 6? How ambitious am I feeling in May? I do need to actually write also, so I have to be a little mindful of that because it will chip into my reading time quite a lot. I'm just trying to factor in whether or not I have time, theoretically, to get through. I suppose it depends on how long the books are, you know? And if I don't get to all of them, no sweat. All right, next one is gonna be Io from the Red Rising collection. Her effect is to pick a book by a new to me author. All right, you know what we're gonna do? We're going to put A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan on this list because she is an author that I have not read up till this point, and I have been wanting so badly to read this book, and I kind of had it in the back of my head that I wanted to save it for May, for my birthday month, just because I think I'm going to fall head over heels with this series. So we are going to choose A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan. I'm very excited about this, actually. So far this lineup is looking quite fabulous, and I'm not mad about it in the least. I would say Agatha Christie is probably in danger of being swapped out for a different Bruhai card pick, just because I don't know how in the mood for classic mystery I am at the moment. We'll see what we get for the rest of this. All right, our 4th card is going to be The Artful Dodger from the Misfits collection. His effect is to read a standalone book, and his secondary effect is at the end of the round, replace one TBR book drawn from another character's card effect with a read drawn from a jar of your choosing. That's amazing. So I could put the kitchen sink pick of Murder on the Orient Express back and draw from my continuous series jar, which would be great because I would really like to do that. But first we need to pick a standalone book for Dodger's effect. So, 1 second. All right, guys, I think I got it. So this is a book that I kind of wanted to read in April, but it just didn't work out, and that's completely fine. And so I had chatted with one of my patrons, John, who also wants to read this book, and I think we're going to turn it into a buddy read for May. And this is a long step away from my usual fantasy fare, which honestly is very exciting. And that is Jeff Shara's To Wake the Giant. This is a Pearl Harbor historical fiction. I am a big fan of Jeff and Michael Shara's work, some of my favorite historical fiction, and it has been some time since I have read some historical fiction, and I feel like I am there mentally. I'm so ready to check out this book. I am so excited to read this. And I don't know, especially with my grandfather passing away at the end of March, I've been feeling very drawn back into history and historical fiction because that's something that I learned to love because of him, largely. So yeah, we're gonna choose To Wake the Giant by Jeff Shara, and that will be Artful Dodger's official pick. And at the end of the round, we will go back and we will do the Artful Dodger's special effect. All right, this is getting a little messy, guys. The card effects are awesome, and they keep it very spontaneous and very unpredictable, which I love, but it does get a lot to keep track of eventually. All right, card number 5, we have another Red Rising character. We have Mustang. Read a military, historical fiction, or memoir. Well, shoot. I should have saved To Wake the Giant for this card. Do I want to read 2 historical? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I like historical fiction. I am 100% cool with that. All right, let me look at my historical fiction shelves and I'll be right back. All right, guys, I am choosing All Quiet on the Western Front, which is another book that has really been calling to me for the last, 6 months to a year. I have heard nothing but incredible praise for this. I have heard that I am going to be emotionally devastated by this, completely understandably, and I just think it is a piece in the canon of historical military literature that I haven't read yet, and I really need to. So, All Quiet on the Western Front by Eric Maria Remarque. I'm not entirely sure if I pronounced that correctly. Apologies if I didn't, but that is going to be my pick for Mustang's effect. Now, this is actually a pretty, okay stack of books. So before we make all of the changes, we have Murder on the Orient Express, All Quiet on the Western Front, A Natural History of Dragons, The Dragon's Path, and To Wake the Giant. Now, there is another book that I need to add to this stack that I am doing as a buddy read with Stacy over at the Chapter Conundrum. We are going to be reading The Folding Knife by K.J. Parker. So I do need to include this in my stack, which makes it slightly less achievable looking, but we're gonna add it to the stack in a minute anyway. But I think we are gonna switch out with Artful Dodger's effect, secondary effect. We're gonna switch Murder on the Orient Express. It still has the same card that I will earn for whatever book I end up picking. It will just transfer to whatever book I draw now. All right, guys, so I am now going to draw a new book from my Continue a Series jar instead of the kitchen sink draw that I had for Agatha Christie. All right, so we have this one. Let's see what series we're going to be continuing. Come on, give me a good one. The Serrano Legacy. Okay, 1 second, let me go grab that. You always have to do that. If the book is at all vintage, please do that. It will extend your life. Anyways, so Sporting Chance by Elizabeth Moon is book 2 in her sci-fi space opera, The Serrano Legacy. And I don't know if loved is the right word. I enjoyed my time with Hunting Party, which was book 1. Do I feel like continuing it in May? I don't know. I'm really trying to decide if I'm going to switch out this card, to be honest with you, because I still have Leaves secondary effect, which allows me to choose a Bruhai card from the deck and use that in place of any card that I have drawn this whole game. So I think we're going to do that. Let me just briefly look and see what options we have. Well, guys, apparently the only Bruhai card I have left in the deck is Saba. And his effect is to read a fantasy book over 500 pages, or draw 2 kitchen sink reads, or draw 2 translated reads. Now, I don't actually have my translated fiction jar anymore, so it would just be the 2 kitchen sink reads or a fantasy book over 500 pages. And y'all, I just don't know if I have it in me to add that to the stack right now, because yeah, I feel like I've got plenty on my plate without that. So I'm actually going to not do that. We are going to leave Sporting Chance by Elizabeth Moon on board for Fiddler's card effect, and we're just gonna call it good. Which means that, and this was so close, you guys. I checked. I was like, is this 500 pages? I don't think so. It's 441. It's so close. I would have loved for Saba's effect to allow me to add Folding Knife into my TBR, but it's not to be. So reality is there will probably be a book on here or two that I don't get to in May, and that's totally fine. But I feel pretty darn good about this stack. These are all books that I'm very excited to read. And so to finish us out for the May TBR, we have To Wake the Giant by Jeff Shara, The Dragon's Path by Daniel Abraham, A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan, The Folding Knife by KJ Parker, All Quiet on the Western Front by Eric Maria Remarque, and Sporting Chance by Elizabeth Moon. And honestly, this is shaping up to be a pretty darn good birthday month of reading. I'm not mad about this. There's a lot of variety in here too, which I absolutely love. Got a little historical fiction, got a little bit of historical military memoir, got 3 fantasy, but they're all so drastically different, and then a little bit of sci-fi with Elizabeth Moon if I feel like that. So I would love to know down in the comments if you've read any of these, which of these you might have on your TBR, or which one you're most excited to hear more about. I would say, man, I don't know if I had to pick a most anticipated read for the month. That's a tough one. I gotta say Dragon's Path, man. I've been really excited about that. I'm very excited about all of these, but that one has been really, really high on my series TBR. So am I gonna regret starting another 5-book fantasy series? Probably. But I hope it's good, and it's Daniel Abraham, so I have very high optimism that it will be. You know, I almost forgot about our location card, which means that I have to have a TBR read in here that features a young protagonist. Now, I'm going to argue that All Quiet on the Western Front, I'm pretty sure does, because we have a young German patriot whose idealism leads him to sign up to join the military, and then he comes face to face with what that actually looks like and what it means to serve the country he's in and what they're actually asking him to do. So I feel like that counts. So we're gonna call it good. I think that definitely counts. And I don't know, Dragon's Path? I don't know if there's a young protagonist. Cithrin is an orphan. That's the first thing I read on the back. I think we're good either way. So we're gonna call that good. Here's our TBR. And I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for hanging out with me as we pick the TBR. Chat with me down in the comments. I'm excited to hear what you guys think about all of these draws. And I hope that you are having a fantastic week. I hope that you are reading 5-star reads, and I will see you in the next video.